Hi, I'm Joseph Phillips. I teach project management on Udemy. A question that I receive from a lot of project managers is, how does PMI define what is a project manager? Or as they're applying for a job, they want to talk about what are their roles and responsibilities as a project manager. Maybe you're like many project managers, that you've become a project manager on accident, or you're wanting to go into project management. So it's really important to have a good foundation of what does a project manager do. So the role of the project manager is first off, they manage things. They lead people. So you manage the project and you lead people to results. It's all about getting things done. Projects are about getting things done. So you have to work in a system, your organizational system. You may have to work in a framework that's been prescribed for your projects. So you have certain rules that you have to follow. You might be part of a project management organization, or part of a program, or you're in a government entity or a banking or healthcare environment. So there are specific rules that affect how you manage, how you act as a project manager in that environment. You also want to be an active listener. A big part of project management is communication. And a big part of communication, of course, is listening, the ability to interact in the conversation, to make certain that you're understanding clearly and that other people are understanding you clearly. So active listening is a real important part of being an effective project manager. So a project manager is all about communication. Just about everything you do as a project manager is to communicate. So you have formal communications like reports and presentations. You have ad hoc or informal communication like those hallway meetings. Vertical communication, where you follow the org chart. And then horizontal is like peer-to-peer with other PMs or other directors. So it's important to know how you communicate, formally or informally, and what are the appropriate methods to communicate based on what you're communicating. Another key skill for project managers is the ability to negotiate. You can't always get everything that you want. You can't always have the resource that you want, or the facilities that you want, or the budget that you want. So you have to be able to negotiate some give and take. So it's a little bit of chess here of what's the best move and trading for one thing or the other. So some compromise. So negotiation, we're aiming for a fair agreement, that it's fair for both parties, it's equitable. Priorities. What are you negotiating against? What are you giving up and what are you gaining? And how does that affect the priorities of the project? What about the technical approach? So an IT project, there are different gives and takes for technology. The project scope is where we do a lot of negotiating, that we only have so much time and so much money, so we have to give and take in the project scope. Same with the schedule and costs, that those all tie together with the project scope. Then you have changes. Once you're in motion, we know changes are going to happen. It's pretty typical in projects. So when changes happen in a predictive environment, like a waterfall approach, that how does that affect the scope, the schedule, the budget, and other aspects of your project? So you have to negotiate for change, that you just can't take on all the change, that you often have to let something else go to make room in the timeline or the budget for this new change. What about negotiating with vendors, so terms and conditions in the contract and procurement? You might also have to negotiate with project team members and their schedules. Most of the time you'll find that team members are on more than one project, or they have day-to-day activities to do in operations. So you can't always schedule them to work 8 hours or 6 hours a day every day on just your project. So you have to negotiate with when things can get done, and then of course that has a ripple effect into your project. And then resource constraints, so when people are available. Resources aren't just people though. You might have to negotiate for equipment and facilities. So resources can be tools, materials, equipment, and facilities that you have to negotiate for. Another key skill set for a project manager is the ability to problem solve. As a project manager, you don't want to run to your boss every time there's a problem. That's why they have you. They want you to problem solve. They want you, the project manager, to figure it out. They have other things they're working on, and they've delegated responsibilities to you to get things done in the project. So it's up to you to problem solve. When we talk about problem solve, we begin with problem definition. What are we trying to solve? What is the problem? What's the root cause? Not the symptoms, but the root cause. Really important. We always want to go to the problem. We don't avoid it. When there's a problem in your project, you want to go to the problem and confront the problem. And then we never go to management with just a problem unless we also have a solution to propose. Really important as a project manager. All right, those are some key things when it comes to being a project manager that you'll need in your role. Keep moving forward.